Hey friend, Candace here from This Vivacious Life, and today we are making the best gluten-free donuts. You know, the real deal fried donuts, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, that you remember and love, those ones. And the best part is they only take 30 minutes to make, so let's get cooking. All right, we're gonna start by adding 2 eggs to that bowl, their stand mixer. Next up, put that butter in. It's 5 tablespoons and you want it nice and softened. And we are gonna cream the butter and eggs together. Next up, we're gonna add all the dry ingredients to a separate bowl. So you've got your gluten-free flour. I like King Arthur, it's just a great option. We're gonna add in some baking soda, baking powder, and salt. My favorite salt is real salt, but you can really use any salt that you like. Next up, we're gonna add a fair amount of 1 1/4 cup of sugar. All right, the last thing you need to add to the dry ingredients is the xanthan gum. You may be asking yourself, if I already have xanthan gum in my gluten-free flour, do I still need it? Yes, for this recipe, you do. Now we're just gonna mix all the dry ingredients up and we're gonna add them to our butter and eggs. All the dry ingredients have been added to a separate bowl. We're gonna add it 1 cup at a time to the butter and eggs, making sure to mix in between each time that you add. Good to add the milk, the sour cream, and the vanilla before you start adding dry ingredients. But if you mess up like me, it's okay to add them halfway through. It's no problem. Just pop them on in and continue with the recipe. I'm using whole milk and sour cream because the fat content really helps gluten-free baked goods come together. So we have just a little bit more flour to add, but we're gonna scrape down the bottom of the bowl. You can see the dough is nice and thick. It's just a little bit wet and that's okay. Our dough is made. We're gonna heavily sprinkle this counter with white rice flour. Be generous, you'll need it. And then I like to spray my hands with non-stick cooking spray, but you certainly don't have to. Grab that dough and go ahead and add it right onto that flour surface. Use your hands. You actually are gonna need it just a little bit, but not much, just enough to give yourself a nice disc. We're just gonna add a little bit more flour on top. We're also gonna get our rolling pin and make sure to flour that good so that you can roll it out. Let's do it. I like to roll my dough nice and thick because I want a thick donut, no thin treats around here. Next up, we're gonna cut our donuts. I just use a regular circle biscuit cutter, but there are donut cutters that already have the circle in between. I improvised here as well. If you want to make a shape and do a flower, you can, or you can use the circle side and just make a traditional donut. So in addition to your actual donut shape, save that middle part that you cut out to make, you guessed it, donut holes. With many other gluten-free donut recipes, you need a piping bag for thin dough and a donut pan where you have to pipe it in. This is a traditional roll-out donut recipe. While there's no yeast in it, you also don't have to wait for them to rise. The egg and the baking powder help it give a little bit of height. If you're more of a maple bar fan than a donut fan, no problem. You can just cut out that maple bar shape with a knife. That's the great thing about this dough being so pliable, is you can work it into any shape you like. Want stars for a birthday party? You got it. Hearts for Valentine's? Done. Now that these are ready to go, let's go heat up our oil. Our oil is hot, we're ready to fry those donuts. As you can see, I'm using a cast iron skillet here. If you have a fryer, that's the best option, but really any pan will work. Just slide them right in. They're gonna cook for 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. So about 1.5 minutes in, you're gonna flip them over and you'll know they're done when they're golden brown, they're floating on the top, ready to go. When your donuts are done frying, line a baking sheet with paper towels and add a baking rack to that. I like to put the donuts here to let the excess grease drip off. There's already gonna be enough fat in there, I promise. All right, donuts are done, and we're gonna make a simple glaze, just powdered sugar, butter, and milk. These donuts can be stored in an airtight container for 3 to 4 days, although I'm guessing you won't have them for that long. Glaze is made. We're gonna go ahead and dip that donut, put it right on in, and get as much as you want. And just like that, you are an ultimate everyday hostess with delicious gluten-free fried donuts that are authentic and fantastic. Head over to thisvivaciouslife.com for full recipe quantities and a printable recipe card. See you soon.